everybody, it's Holliedazzle. I am here today with something that is a little out there. Way back in the earlier days of makeup and the internet, the YouTube beauty community didn't exist. It's hard to think of YouTube without the beauty community, but at one point they did not exist together. Basically, if you have any questions on makeup, how to use a product, what do you think of this, reviews, how to use it, should I buy it, should I not buy it, you can come right here onto YouTube and you can find answers to any question you have, basically. But back in the early 2000s, that just didn't exist. And back in the early 2000s, I was still working as an esthetician and a makeup artist. I worked for a company called Bare Minerals. Bare Minerals still exists to this day. It is not quite the iconic brand that it used to be. Bare Minerals started as a infomercial makeup. It was one of those late night infomercials that came on that would suck you into watching, and it was so compelling and so fun. And I actually worked at a store at Mall of America that was a storefront for Bare Minerals. And being that we were a tourist destination, Mall of America, we would serve a lot of people from all over the country and all over the world. Just quite a phenomenon to be a part of. I'm wearing one of my Bare Minerals shirts today, and I am wearing my iconic Bare Minerals makeup artist brush belt. Our tiny little store in Mall of America did about $10,000 a day average of sales. I don't know how we even pushed that many transactions through our register at times, but that was nothing compared to what the weekends would bring. That was just an average weekday. Talking Saturdays and Sundays, we'd do easily 20, 30,000. Some weeks we were doing, if we had an event or something, we could do easily $90,000. $90,000 in sales for a week. It was a beast to be a part of. It was the #1 selling foundation on the planet for many years. I was a store employee and part of a LiveJournal group. At the time, LiveJournal was like the thing for social media, and I was part of a Bare Minerals group there, and I saw a lot of people struggling with how to use the makeup if they ordered it online or got it home from seeing us at one of our boutiques and just couldn't figure it out, and they needed a more like day-to-day instruction. So I decided to take the basically what I did demonstration wise in the store. I decided to sit down at my kitchen table in my little studio apartment in Uptown, fresh-faced 24-year-old me, and document with my little point-and-shoot digital camera, and put a tutorial together for LiveJournal. It still exists. The tutorial still exists online. This was back when like LiveJournal didn't host photos. Like you had to find photo hosting for your pictures. So like my photos on the tutorial that's still up have like a water seal on them from Photo Bucket. I'll put the link to it directly in my description box so you can follow along with it if you'd like. And I'm gonna just kind of read off as it goes, and we're gonna do my old Bare Minerals tutorial, one of the kind of OG makeup tutorials on the internet. Here we go. We're gonna just follow along. I dug out my old Bare Minerals makeup. I have 2 train cases full of makeup still because I did freelance makeup artistry with this makeup, and I just haven't parted ways with any of this because I'm really sentimental, and also it's like a lot of makeup and I feel bad throwing it away. Let's get started. The first thing is up is the first picture in the tutorial is the tools that I would use and the products that I used. These were the basic things that came in a lot of the starter kits and the kind of basic things you needed to be able to do the makeup. So you can see in the picture that's up right now that I've got a kabuki brush, which is that little short guy. Sadly, they stopped making kabuki brushes after a while. They also stopped using sable in their brushes. These brushes you see here in this picture are like the classic Bare Minerals brushes. They are mostly sable, which is so soft and so durable. Their brushes were one of a kind. It was really a shame when they shifted away from using sable and over to goat, because it's just not, it's not as nice of a brush, and they would wear out much faster. Those kabuki brushes, when you took good care of them and washed them regularly and stuff, you could make a kabuki brush last for years. They were a beautiful tool to invest in. And for $30, that's all they cost. And that was a beautiful, solid sable brush. Ugh. But I have what came to be the newer version of the kabuki brush. And it was the full flawless face, and it's very dense like the kabuki brush. That's the trick with the Bare Minerals foundation. To put it on, you need a really dense brush. And then I have two flawless face brushes on that thing, because I liked to use one for the mineral veil and one for the warmth. Actually, over time, ended up using an angled, which is kind of like the flawless face brush, but it's got a little angle cut into it for the warmth, because it like contours nicely. So we'll use that and a flawless face brush. This looks a little different than the classic flawless face brush, but it is a flawless face brush. It says it right here on the handle. It just came out of a kit, so it's got a color to it. And that big concealer brush, use the smaller one. This is the same thing, it's just little. I just used to get the big one because it covered more. But this was the size that came in the starter kits. And the products that we're gonna use are the foundation. This one is in Fair. The Warmth, which is like I think they were called like complexion enhancers or something like that. And it's kind of like a bronzer. And then the Mineral Veil, which is a cornstarch based setting powder. And there's a picture of 24-year-old me. Oh my god. That's 24-year-old me. Wow. It's a trip to look at that. Like, that's, you know, that's like 15 years ago or something. Like, that's a long time. Like, who is she? She lived in Uptown. She had a studio apartment. She had a cat from the Humane Society. Oh my god. Look at her. She's just a baby. Aww. So the next picture then is a picture of the foundation in the cap. The caps in the Bare Minerals products were really kind of important to swirling, tap buff, like how you loaded them, because they're loose. They were all loose at the time. So you would sprinkle some into the lid, and it didn't take much. That was one of the biggest errors that people made when they used our product, was that they used way too much, and then they were like, it's cakey, it looks dry, it doesn't look good, it's unflattering. You're probably using too much, especially when they would bring back their returns and they would have had it for like a week and like half the jar was gone. It's like, oh man, you're using way too much. That was always the learning curve to the product, was use less, a lot less than you think you need, and buff more. And that was something I did try to emphasize during my, what we called the makeovers. We called them make unders, because the whole clean beauty aspect of the brand, that was what it was all about. First picture of me there, I am swirling my brush into the product in the lid. So I'm gonna do that now. I do still have one of my old shirts. I have all my old shirts from Bare Minerals, because again, I'm really sentimental. And this was the one that fit. Fit is kind of a generous statement. These letters are a little warped over the top of me right now. But I had one that said like swirl, tap, buff, the like 3 little dots. It's so cute. Maybe I'll put a picture of it up here. Alright, so swirl the foundation in the lid with the full coverage kabuki brush. Use a lot of pressure and change directions frequently to load it evenly over the surface of the brush. So you want to basically, all of the powder that was in the lid is now in the bristles of the brush. And then here I am tapping off the excess. Otherwise it will just become airborne and wasted. I loaded that really good because I'm not getting a lot of excess tap off. This was the hardest part to explain to somebody, was this motion in pictures. Now, using firm pressure and circular motion, apply the foundation all over one side of your face and your entire forehead. You can go around the eyes and everything, even with contacts in. I do it every day. Use a firm pressure. It's almost like grinding, but buffing sounds nicer. It's true. So you just go swirl, tap, and buff. I think I might need more product. I always did half my face at a time because it was easier to see it happening when you did half at a time. When I just like did my whole face at once, it was really easy to like overdo the coverage because you couldn't see it happening. This makeup had such a soft, pretty, natural look to it that it was really easy to overdo it without even knowing it. And by the time you knew it, it was too late. When you did half at a time, you could see it happening in real time. You could see it evening out your complexion. So I always taught people to do half of their face at a time. And also I really loved watching it happen every day. So you can see it's a subtle difference, but just how like soft and even my complexion is on this side, and my skin looks like dewy and glowy. This is the original formulation of the foundation, not the matte formulation. So you can see just how different it can look. Note, I need slightly less for the other side because I already did my whole forehead. So I'm gonna repeat that. Oh my goodness. Swirl, tap, and buff. Remember, you're not buffing it off, you're buffing it in. I kind of got the idea for doing this video from the trends I'm seeing in makeup right now. I'm seeing after we've come out of this like full drag beat, full coverage, almost theatrical kind of makeup in the last like 5 to 10 years. It's really fun and really expressive and like amazing, but the trend is swung hard to that, and now it's like swinging to the other side, and like this fresh, clean, less is more, dewy, clean beauty kind of look is coming back in. And it kind of made me think about Bare Minerals, and like this might be an opportunity for their brand to kind of have a renaissance and come back into popularity, if that's gonna be the way that makeup trends start going again. Like that's one thing that this brand knew really well, was that beautiful, clean beauty kind of look. So next step in our steps is the concealer brush to conceal with. They make a product in their line called Bisque and Summer Bisque, and that was like a concealer, so it was like the foundation but just like really had extra ingredients in it for more coverage. That was always, the Bisque and the Summer Bisque were always too dark for me because I'm so fair that I just used my foundation as my concealer. And I always told people that, like, try the foundation first as concealer. If you need more coverage, we have Bisque and Summer Bisque, but if you don't, you can just use your foundation for concealer. Alright, so you load it onto your little concealer brush, which is a synthetic bristle brush. And then you just put your extra coverage where you want it. I used to get questions all the time when I did makeup, like, when do you do concealer? Do you do it before or after your foundation? I always did it after, because I figured, how are you gonna know what you need to conceal until you put your foundation on? So that was always my my technique, and I still, even when I'm wearing liquid products now, I still follow that same principle, that foundation first, then see what you need to cover, because how would you know otherwise? So just dot on any extra coverage wherever you need it. There we go. Got all my concealing done. I don't really have many pimples these days. As a 40-year-old lady, my skin is a little bit different than 24-year-old me was. So there is the full complexion kind of on, the foundation and the concealer. So now that I've applied the foundation, notice that I am all one color. This foundation gives such great coverage that you may feel a little washed out. This is where warmth comes into play. Warmth was something that came in our starter kits and something I sold almost everybody who bought the makeup. It's a kind of a red, bronzy color, and fair people like myself, it would scare the hell out of us because they'd be like, I can't use that. And I'd be like, you know what, you can. I wear warmth every single day. So I usually used whatever residue was in the cap or whatever residue was left in my brush. That's how much warmth I needed. It was a very concentrated product for me since I was so fair. Loading that up onto my little angled brush. I'm using a regular Flawless face brush in that picture, but eventually I did switch over to this brush. And then, so we did the swirl and the tap, and now we're going to apply warmth, kind of like a contouring product. So even though these were the days before all the contouring trends started, we were doing some contour back in the day at Bare Minerals. We were using warmth to kind of soften the edges of our makeup and contour a bit. Yeah, but you can see it just kind of warms up your skin. And I was demonstrating kind of the 3 or the E kind of shape that I would do with it. And then the last step in the complexion look is a product called Mineral Veil. Now I have been using Mineral Veil recently, again, just as a setting powder with any other foundation I use. It's a lovely setting powder. It's cornstarch based, which is kind of rare. There's not a ton of cornstarch based powders on the market, especially in drugstore lines. Most drugstore lines are talc based. Talc is just very drying to my skin and just looks chalky and dry, so I really love kind of the creamy softness of a cornstarch based setting powder. It's much more gentle to my complexion. So I, back in the day, loved Mineral Veil. I was a little more oily than I am now, so I don't need quite as much Mineral Veil as I used to need. And you can see there I talk about how much veil I like. You know, you don't need that much if you're not real shiny. So swirl, tap, and then just buff that on and set everything up. Back in the day, I was so good at these make-unders. Like, you had to be fast just based on how many people wanted to get in and try this makeup. You had to be lightning quick, so quick. I could do all of this stuff, skincare, top to bottom, to wringing them out in 15 minutes flat. People didn't even know what hit them. I was so efficient. You had to be, you just had to be, because there was just, everybody was waiting. Come on, let's go, 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 go. Oh my goodness. Then that's the picture there is me with just the complexion products on, the foundation, the warmth, the Mineral Veil. And I said, there you go, that's the basics, but I never stopped there. So that is my whole look. Do I look a lot like the finished 24-year-old Holliedazzle from back in the day? I'd like to think so. Time has been kind to me. Sunscreen, kids. Just wear your sunscreen. Stay out of the sun. Don't sunbathe. It will save you a lot of trouble. Yeah, that's the whole Bare Minerals look. It was kind of fun going down a trip down memory lane about my time with Bare Minerals. It's a fun brand. It was quite a thing to be a part of. Old boutique employees who were in it back in the heyday of like 2003 through like 2011 will really remember what an experience it was to be part of this kind of phenomenon. Still really fun to think back on all of that and remember those good times. I know, kitty. It was a good time. So, thanks for tuning in today while I took this little trip down memory lane. You can check out my old tutorial from way back when, 24-year-old Holliedazzle, doing makeup at her kitchen table in her apartment in Uptown. Thanks for tuning in today, and I will see you next time.